Hello, hello. My name is Brittany.
And I'm Kate.
And we are
The Fools.
Join us as we explore everything spiritual, astrological, and overall mystical.
Don't forget to follow your intuition, but more importantly, follow us at The Fools.
Okay, guys. Hi. Hello.
Welcome back to The Fools podcast.
We are so happy that you joined us for another episode. Ow. My cat is obviously on my lap if you are not watching this via YouTube. But it's a nice visual image for you if you're listening in your car. Today, what are we talking about today, Kate?
We're going to talk about altars today.
I'm excited. I love altars. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is just such a way to bring magic into your home. It's literally a space to constantly remind you of magic. And I think they're really special. And I feel like whether you're a new witch or just getting into spirituality or been doing this forever, there is never a bad time to create an altar for yourself.
Yeah, and they can be as intricate and elaborate as you want, or as simple as you really have time for. You can keep it quick, you can keep it minimalistic, you can keep it, with the basics, or you can really go for there.
Yeah, I want to preface this by saying we're going to talk about different things you can put on your altars, or what people say is expected of you. A lot of times when people look up altars, it's really popular from Wicca. But honestly, I think if you have one crystal and one candle, and that could be your altar, if that's going to be a place that you meditate and bring your attention to. You know what I mean? So whatever we're saying during this podcast, don't feel like you have to go out and buy 50 crystals and a cauldron and get it going. It can be something you slowly build up to.
And so with that little segue, I did a little bit of research because the origin of altars is quite interesting, because it's overwhelmingly amongst all worldwide religions. People love altars. They love to also create temples or sacred spaces that they can worship and pray and things like this. And when I was doing that research, in Taoism, they actually believe that your body and just your skin suit overall is an altar.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that saying your body's a temple, or your temple, to take care of it. So that's actually really interesting, and a thought that I feel like we don't pay enough attention to. To take care of your physical body.
So you don't even need to necessarily do anything or create a space, but just knowing that within yourself you have all the tools and all the elements and everything, that you are an altar and a conduit to spirit. Just know that. And then if you want to bring it to a physical manifestation and have a sacred space in your home, or multiple sacred spaces, go for it. Let's go.
I actually looked up the definition of an altar, which says an altar is a physical representation of one's practice. And it makes sense. Like Kate was saying, altars are all through history, all through time, not transparent, but transient against Earth. Oh my God, what is the word I'm trying to say? It's every country. Okay, we'll get there. Every country has some form of an altar or a temple or some place of worship. So that's kind of what you are doing in your own space on a smaller scale. I mean, I don't know how many people went to church every Sunday, but you're going with the intention of practicing spirituality. Religion is kind of weird, and has its own rules and blah, blah, blah. But at its core, it was supposed to be your connection to God and the universe and something greater than yourself.
Yes. So another quote I found while I was doing a little bit of research that might help us before we get too spiritual on this way of talking altars and things, because I know a lot of people may not want to worship a deity or anything like that. So altars overall can just have intentions of positive intentions for yourself and goals for yourself, and it's just a private area where you can receive spiritual and emotional comfort, gain inner guidance for your greater upliftment.
Yes, I literally wrote a place to set intentions, energy, and if you want, give offerings to spirit guides or your ancestors. But that's not the only reason to make one. It really is for you, a place to connect the physical and the spiritual world, whether that whatever that means to you. You know, you don't have to use anybody else's definition but your own.
And then if you are like slightly religious on top of that, you know, then you can start to incorporate those specific practices in with your altar. And that's amazing.
That's
that
totally
works
fine.
for you.
Yeah, I wrote down, I guess, the reason why you would do this is just a sacred space for yourself, right? Something that symbolizes like you are going to meditate, when you want to set intentions for manifesting or releasing or whatever. So this can be anywhere you want. Literally, it doesn't have to be like I read something that was like, oh, you've got to face north if you're, you know, a water sign, and like, and it's like, sure, if that speaks to you, that is totally fine. But for me, when I get those many rules and parameters, then it feels like I'm doing something wrong. And then it brings up negative energy. And then it's just like, what are we really doing? Yeah. We're not creating a nice space for ourselves. Like it kind of turns it up on its head. So me and Kate are always in the like rule of saying like, if it doesn't feel good, it's not good. Like listen to that. It's totally fine.
And I think it's interesting because you can just do whatever you want with your altar. Like I'm constantly changing mine, and that's even to say that like what you're bringing in at that time is what's like serving that spiritual journey you're on, or the spiritual place you're trying to be or go or incorporate in your life. So maybe we should just go through a couple basics of like what a basic altar would have on it.
So something I wrote down, like Kate said, she's always changing altars, moving it around her space, like changing the flow of her energy. For me, I haven't built like my full altar yet, so I have like a little mini space on a drawer. I wrote down it could be on your cabinets, corner tables, shelves, repurposed desks, tables, or like a little section of your nightstand or kitchen counter or whatever works for you and feels right with your space and your feng shui. I feel like that's more important than being like, oh, it has to be facing this window or with this thing. You know what I mean? If it works in your space so that you will use it, that's what's important, because you don't want to set something up and then it's like in a corner or a space that you just like never visit, because that kind of defeats the purpose.
And if you are more of a transient person, you don't necessarily have a home base that's regular and you're constantly being uprooted. I did see like these mini altars that are like,
I saw like basket altars, like people,
in like a little mint canister. Like you can just get your stone, an herb, a candle, or you could put it in a little box. Like it doesn't have to be crazy. Maybe you have a little pouch because you're a transient person. You don't often like know where you're gonna lay your head the next night, so you can always like downsize this too. So if you don't have like a home base or whatever, you don't have a shelf or a dresser or whatever, you can also put it in a little pouch or
like a little
box.
bag. And I will say, like, I have a set shelf that I have my altar on, but sometimes I'm like, I want to go practice outside and I'll carry some things out there, or I'm feeling my carpet, my rug, I just want to sit on the rug today. And sometimes I stand right in front of the altar itself. So, you know, do with that as you will. Also, something that I think is important to say, I mean, we keep saying it can be as elaborate or as simple as you want, but something that I really liked when I read it was a lot of people say to incorporate the 4 elements on your altar so that you can feel some sort of balance. So, of course, that's wind, earth, air, fire.
You said wind and air twice.
Oh my God.
So
fire,
earth, water.
Water.
You did not list water.
No water. That just shows.
Anyway, air, earth,
dirt,
and air.
Flame. Yes. So some like examples of that would be a candle, obviously incense for air, shells, or your moon water. I always keep that on my altar.
Or a diffuser, like a aromatherapy for air.
Yes. Crystals are a great way to do earth, or you could literally like, sometimes I'll find like a sick acorn, throw it on your altar, or like herbs, anything. Some people put cool sticks, like it really, it's whatever you're drawn to. And if you can bring some sort of elements from
shells, people love shells.
It's great. So I always say throw those in, and you know, whatever makes you feel a little balance in life.
Yeah, get all those elements working. A little cup of water.
Yeah.
A little.
It's also a great place, too, if you want to make offerings. Again, the most important thing is it's a space to set intention. But I know for me, I like to keep my tarot cards, my affirmation cards, some witchy books that I have kind of centered around that area, because I know when I want to connect with spirit or whatever, that this is a home base for me.
A place to keep those tools. So tarot is a tool, your oracle cards are a tool, even incorporating those sound tools, whether you have like a singing bowl, maybe you have like a little shaker. I have my little owl whistle. Cute. That I got, and I'll just like kind of do a little whistle when I'm like just trying to clear space, but also like bring in like there's a clear intention happening here.
And there's so many tools. We are going to have an episode. I think the next episode will be tools of the trade of, witchcraft and spirituality. And that's a fun way to like include different things into your practices, especially when you get into like spell work, or we're talking about candle magic. Maybe keep your candle collection there. So like you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling like I need some passion in my life. Oh, look at that. My red candle is right there, ready to be plucked. It's cool when you have those tools in front of you so that they're at your disposal all the time.
And I think one thing we like skipped over or missed completely is that once you've picked your space, you want to make sure to cleanse it and like set the intention of your altar and like what you're, this is a sacred space, so you do want to like honor it in the sense that is like, I have an intention, cleansed it with water or Florida water or smoke cleansed it.
Or your moon water.
Yeah, and I figured out like this is a place, like I set the intention of this is my spiritual connection. This is a place I come to receive insight and connect with myself. And then now I'm going to keep my tools here. I'm going to keep my candles here. I'm going to keep the rocks that I'm identifying with right now here. Anything special that I love, I'm going to add to this altar.
And I think it's important when talking about cleansing is not only should you cleanse your space, your altar regularly, but every time you go to practice. If you're sitting down to meditate, pull tarot, I think it's always smart to just light a little incense or rosemary or whatever. Even if you wipe down where you're going to sit or put your cards out, you just want to make sure you get into the habit of always cleansing. And I like to ask for aid from, the other realms, like my spirit team, ancestors, stuff like that. I also think your altar is a great place to offer things to those otherworldly things. Entities? Yeah, I don't really know. I was like creatures of the night, but that's like not what I mean.
Otherworldly entities.
But something that's great if you have a family member that's maybe passed on, if you have a picture of them or an object of theirs that always reminds you of them, keep that on your altar and, find ways to connect with them spiritually, even though they have moved on. I think that's really beautiful. Or, you may not know your spirit guides by names, but I think it's always cute, like, maybe offer them a little glass of red wine. Keep it on your altar, and when you're done, pour it like next to a beautiful tree outside or something like that. I don't know. It's like if you enjoy gift giving, why not give a gift to those on the other side?
Yeah, and I did see like a general rule of thumb, like for offerings, is just like anything that you would enjoy with any of your five senses. So like even touch, I realized I never have given a soft offering, like a gentle touching, and anything that you typically don't want something like used and raggedy. You typically want it like with intention of like being new and nice and appreciative and great gratitude for whatever you're offering to. You don't want to just find an old like
lemon wedge that you squeezed into water and then you're like, here you go.
Okay, yeah, I'll throw that on my altar.
Yeah, I would just look up different ways to get rid of the things after you've offered them. I think like if you just like offer them wine and dump it down the toilet, I think it loses some of its sacred value. So I know there's different ways. I always think the best thing is to like put it back in nature.
Yeah, like water offerings should be like put back in a plant, or like water outside or
stuff like that. I would just look that up, whatever kind of resonates with you. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a good rule of thumb. Speaking of offerings, when it comes to like deities, I mean, we all are, I feel like because Christianity is such a big religion in the US, so many of us were raised with God, and now it's like this weird thing where it's like, is God real? Jesus and blah, blah, blah. Whatever you feel, don't let it doesn't matter what other people say. So if you want to pray, that is a great place to pray, is your altar. If you want your offerings to be to God or Jesus or whatever, that is okay. Or if you do your research and look into other deities, that is awesome. But just make sure you are doing your research, learning, making sure it's a safe connection that you're creating with these people. Always ask for protection from your spirit guides and your ancestors if you're ever feeling like you want to explore that realm.
And in the same vein as protection, I saw that if you leave a knife or a sword or a machete.
Oh, a machete, casual.
Casual. I was like, oh yeah. I definitely have a machete. That it offers. It helps your spirit team protect you more, perhaps.
It's interesting. Going into like metaphysical stores, I always see like crystal knives and stuff, and I'm like, that's aggressively cool. But that makes more sense. That's why they have that. I've just never really asked. I also don't personally work with deities yet. I'm not saying I never will, but for me, I'm just mostly focused on like my spirit team that's already surrounding me and like my.
I feel like sometimes with that kind of thing, you'll maybe like have something you're already slightly drawn to. So I know a lot of people feel drawn to like Egyptian vibes. Mm-hmm. And like if you do feel that, you can bring, you know, like different kind of Egyptian symbols, or maybe you are familiar with their deities and like things that they worship that you also feel like, oh yeah, I definitely vibe with that. Mm-hmm. For myself personally, like I'm really fascinated by like ancient Greek mythology and culture like that. So for me, it's like maybe I'm thinking about bringing like ideas of these entities. Like I love like the wisdom of the owl. I'm not sure if that's like Hera or whatever goddess that is, but like little aspects of like what you're already drawn to is going to be a great way to like connect with that, whatever that is for you, whether it's religion or whether it's like you're drawn to Egyptian stuff, Greek stuff, whatever it is.
Just do your research and, you know, practice from a safe space. That's literally all that we ask. And your altar is a great place to like, especially I see a lot of people put meditation cushions or like a special chair by your altar so that you can sit and meditate in it. Or I have like books about spirituality or manifesting or whatever that I always want to make sure I'm in the right mindset to read. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't read those like before bed. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get the full power of them. So it's nice to like have that be a part of your altar and your sacred space.
And then even like you can use, a lot of people use like cloths to put down, and that's like using different colors, different chakra energies. Oh, I mean, that goes along with like potential crystal grids and like different crystals you're choosing. So, I mean, it can go on and on. Like we said, you know, it's as in depth as you want to make it. And for instance, like Lunar New Year's coming up. I think this is coming out after it. But like I plan on having like a really beautiful moon altar that coincides with that Lunar New Year, and trying to bring in, you know, multiple energies. And that's even like pictures, like symbolism, anything you like. You know, we talked about virtual altars, making like canvases or collages for your background or for your phone just to look at. There's so many freaking ways.
Yeah. Also, another thing I read in this book that I have was about outdoor altars, which I never really thought of before. I think it's different depending on where you live. I think when you're in the city, it's harder to think of those things, but I have a balcony that I could create a little outdoor altar. Or it talked about using what's already in nature that you're drawn to. So if there's like a certain tree in a park that you love, or in your backyard, there's just like this smooth patch of grass that you always sit in. And then maybe adding a vase or a little statue of something or a glass bowl or, you know, any of these things. It doesn't have to be a huge elaborate setup, but just something that like is like, all right, this is going to remind me to set that intention. I think it's also nice to do it outside whenever you can. I feel like we as humans are on this world of like, go, get in my car and whatever.
Be inside.
Yeah. Sit and look at your laptop and
your phone.
Yeah, and your phone. So it's nice to be like, oh, I got that little special spot. And maybe it's in a public place. Like there's a park that you have a bench that you just love. You know, your altar can be a shared space. I think just like make sure when you go up to it, you set your intention and your energy and your vibration to what you want to bring in. And maybe, you know, cleanse it too.
You can get mobile with your altars. You know, like if you ever been to a park with yourself and you're like, I'm going to bring these rocks and do some cards. Like that's almost like a to-go altar, if you will.
I think anytime you're setting up a little safe haven for yourself when you know you're going to connect to spirit, it can be an altar. And I think like that will help me. I know with my meditation journey, maybe if I like make it more of a practice, because I'll just be on my day and I'm like, you know what you should do? You should meditate. And it's like another chore. So just sit on my couch and I'm like, okay, I'm going to meditate. And I'm like strong arming it. So I think if you make it almost special for yourself, like, well, when I meditate, I get to light this candle. I get to do this and give yourself permission to like enjoy it. I don't know. That's a trick I'm going to try on myself. No guarantees that it'll work.
Yeah, I think that if you, like you said, you got to attach it onto habits you already have during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I've developed a daily pull habit, so I just need to sit the fuck down and meditate and like be at my altar. It's hard because I'm a transient altar kind of person.
Yeah.
Like I move mine around. I like don't necessarily have a set spot at the moment. So, I mean, I just stay moving and shaking and whatever works.
Yeah, but I like that about you. I feel like it's nice because whenever you walk into your space, it could be like on your bookshelf, so it's like at your eye level, or sometimes it's at the table, so you know when you're eating you think about it, or you know there's no wrong way to do it. Mine is always in the same place. That's just who I am. But I'll move my physical body. But you know it's just whatever works for you. And I don't know, like I feel like I cannot stress this enough. There is no wrong way.
There really isn't. And it's just like what colors you're called to, the crystals you're called to. And it's okay if it changes. It's okay if it doesn't stay the same. And, you know, maybe that's an indication to yourself that you're moving along on your own spiritual journey, and the same tools that you used to bring to your altar, you're not necessarily reaching for anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's just like an ever-changing space for you to just connect, receive.
Yeah. At the base of it all, it's just a place for you to connect to spirit, no matter what that means. Again, it's just so broad. Like I usually use it for spell work or releasing. That's like my favorite thing to do on my altar. But you can manifest there, you can meditate there.
Journal. And keep a journal there after you've done some pulls. Maybe you read some literature. You have your spiritual literature there and you write down some quotes that you really identify with.
Yeah.
So
the possibilities are endless.
Really endless. And it can be as little or as intricate as you would like it to be. This is obviously a very general outline for beginners if you've maybe never had an altar before, or like maybe you do and you didn't even know it. Like,
yeah.
You just were like, this is my space.
Unconsciously did it. And I also don't want to get too specific and be like, you need a like pestle and mortar. Well, one thing I think you should all get is a fire safe bowl. That is just me being the mom in me, and is like, whether it's a cauldron because it's fun, or a shell that a lot of incense come with, or sage and stuff, or just a bowl that is fire safe, you know, like a pot. Like,
yep.
Just be safe, because we are lighting candles and incense and using flame. So I just want to maybe
we don't want to be
home.
liable for your guys' mistakes. So
Yeah.
be safe.
But be safe. But like we said, there are so many witchy tools out there. We're going to go over those in depth in a different podcast. But like for me, something on my altar that I don't think would be on a lot of others is keys. I used to collect old antique keys. I really love keys. They make me think of possibilities. Or
you know what? The ancient Egyptians have keys for opening inner realms.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of my life, is just remembering that like I hold the key to it. So whatever resonates with you, baby. Cool.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pull a card.
Let's pull a card.
Let's get into it.
Do you want to pull, or do you want me to pull?
I
We did it last time.
want Britt to pull it. Cairo, give us the energies of the episode.
Let's give us this altar episode energy, this lunar new moon. Do you know what?
The new moon is in?
Yeah.
I don't.
I could look it up real quick.
February 1st.
Oh, wow.
Monday.
Oh, we're going to be on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Kate are taking a little trip to Lake Arrowhead.
It's 2 hours outside the city. Very close.
Very excited.
Okay, so the new moon is in Aquarius. Well, it is Aquarius season, so...
Yeah. Aquarius is all about breaking out of the norm or, the constructs that society has put on you, always questioning those around you and your reality, maybe the constructs you put on yourself.
And it says, stand up for what you believe in.
I attract a lot of Aquarius in my life. February is a very stressful time for me. I have so many friends having birthdays.
That is stressful. What do you do?
I make a lot of Instagram posts.
August is stressful for me.
Didn't we pull this last time?
5 of Cups.
Remember? And I was like, I don't want this one. It's a grasshopper.
Oh,
yeah. Or I think I pulled this for myself.
You pulled it for yourself.
Weird.
You still need to know about that grasshopper.
When I look this up, it's technically in reverse, too.
So it suggests we've recently gone through under a situation that set us back in ways we hardly expected. You may even be in a state of denial, refusing to acknowledge the mistakes that brought you to this point.
For 5 of Cups in reverse says forgiveness, release, acceptance. Interesting.
Learn from your mistakes and allow yourself to move past the guilt with new perspectives to guide you in the future. And if you can do that, then you will be led to the Knight of Cups. That is care, romance, and artistry. And so that is a cup brimming with fruits. So don't dwell on those past mistakes or those miscalculations or those things that didn't go as you planned it. Because you got to stay flexible. You got to move on. In order for things to work out for you, you can't sit and dwell. You got to be able to be flexible and move forward.
That's actually a really good way to interpret that. It's interesting. I feel like that's a common trap that I fall into. And I feel like it's human nature to sit and dwell on things in the past or worry about the future. And the only way to truly be happy is living in the moment. And that is easier said than done, but great to constantly remind yourself. And maybe that is an intention you could put at your altar. Is every time you walk up to your altar is all right, I'm focusing completely on this moment right now.
And then you're not going to dwell on all those mistakes and be questioning if you're doing it right. Just being present with yourself is huge. And I think one little note I want to leave with, it says, remember that only you can achieve your dreams if you're actively working towards it.
Wow.
We say that all the time. You got to also take the steps with your manifestations. But
did I ever talk about the pasta thing? Did I say that last episode where the girl was like, if this is a repeat, I will just cut this out. But if it's not, whatever. I saw this TikTok, me spending too much time on TikTok, where this girl was like, everything you think of is something you've manifested in your life. If you're like, hey, I want spaghetti for dinner, then you can easily manifest that into your life because there isn't going to be a lot of hesitation of you believing that you can accomplish that, right? Because if you have the thought, I want spaghetti, what do? You take the actions and the steps to do that. You go to the grocery store, you buy the noodles, you buy the pasta sauce, and you come home.
Or you order Postmates
or
pasta.
Or Postmates, whatever. You know that you can easily bring it into your life. So that is a manifestation that has no resistance. But that is still a manifestation in itself. So when you have harder things that you want to bring into your life or things that are harder for you to conceptualize, you need to realize that if you can't accept that you need to take the steps and that they are possible, then you will never reach it.
They are possible. Yeah. Just like getting pasta is possible.
I thought that was such a smart example of you want some pasta and that's an attainable goal. So you believe it. You believe you will get that pasta.
Yeah.
But
I know. And sometimes we can't believe that our dreams are a possible goal, but they are. You guys keep going.
And take the steps, buy the noodles,
get the pasta. All right, we love you. Thanks for being here again.
Love
and
you.
Set up your altar.
Set up your altar. Send us some pics to us.
Send us pics. Tag us in your altar.
We would love that. Go eat some pasta. Okay, bye.
Bye.